Invite. There it is. Ticker show. Sure, you can ask a question. Go ahead. Ask a question, okay? Yeah, guys, like the show, share it with the haters, and follow the host. Go ahead. Follow the host. This show, okay, yeah, we're live. We are live on YouTube and on Facebook. Hi. What's up, guys? How's it going? I gotta standardize these classes a little more. Give actual times instead of just sporadic. On TikTok, people get the notification. Yeah, no, I'm on TikTok, True Prophet. I'm live on TikTok right now. This is just, I'm also live on YouTube and Facebook. Okay. It says some comments in this life were filtered to protect the community's experience. I've learned a lot about Judaism. I'm back in 6th grade. Okay. How do you know you are a real rabbi? What does it mean? How do we know you're a real rabbi? Well, how do you know anyone's a real rabbi? I mean, I'll tell you, unlike other rabbis, I've actually put my smicha, my ordination online just because I get so many haters. But anyone who can claim to be a rabbi, there's a lot of dummies out there who claim to be rabbis. So if it looks like I know what I'm talking about, all right, that should be the indicator. Okay, what else? So Ari wants to ask a question. Ari in YouTube. Ari Beso. All right. What's up? Archer. Oh, they probably can't even hear me. What's up? YouTube. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on, Archer? Good.
Okay, so I wanted to. First of all, I don't really subscribe to any sort of religion necessarily, but just to be clear, like when it comes to Judaism, you don't believe that Jesus was. I guess you believe he existed, but he wasn't the Son of God or something like that. You more subscribe to like the Old Testament,
Right.
That pretty much covers it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not positive he existed. Yeah, but he seems to be a good example to live by if he did exist in terms of ethics. I just don't believe he's God or the Messiah.
Got you. I mean, for me, it just seems like a religion based around simply the Old Testament is just as much mythology as any other Greek or Egyptian mythology.
Yeah. So mythology tells a story, right? And that's what makes it interesting. Folklore and legend. The Torah gives a code. Now, granted, there's stories in the Torah, creation, the flood, but all those sort of seem secondary. God never says that he validates us by believing in any such stories. He says he validates you if you behave in a certain way, ethically, you keep his commandments. So there may be, a story there, a narrative, mythology, but that's not what God requires you to believe in. In terms of Jewishness, I understand Christianity teaches something else. As a Jew, all we have to do is obey God, right? It seems like God is looking out for the best interest for this planet. So he gave us ethics to aspire to. And that's really,
Right, but I mean, so you're saying the meat and potatoes of this is essentially the code of conduct that God gave you to live by, but
yes.
You were given, you're given a way of life by many other people or deities as well. So it's like, why this one in particular? That's what doesn't make sense. That's something where it's like you would look at maybe all the other stuff, like those stories you were talking about around it, and see if they're viable to like.
No, I hear you. But that's easy to answer. I mean, just look around you. Like you live in a society entrenched in biblical values, not in values that come from the Book of the Dead or the Court of Hammurabi. Meaning, the Bible, specifically the Torah, the portion that deals with actions and a code of law, has been the most single influential book in civilizing this planet. The most. I'm not saying the only. There's other books. There's other contenders. But yeah, that itself should allow you to follow the trend. And I'm not saying it should get you to believe in God, but at least to pay tribute to where the bulk of our values ultimately come from. The bulk. I'm not saying all the values.
Yeah, but it's just a byproduct of conquest in the old world. I mean, that's all it is. I mean, we see the same thing in Asian countries, right, where it's going to be different. Obviously, Christianity, Islam, Judaism is spilled into those areas as well. But it's like, you see when, in I forgot what year, maybe 400 BC, I think, for some Indian empires, right, they would have people spreading Buddhism and stuff like that, Confucianism. It's the same concept here of like the Jewish people before, like that's kind of like was the overarching power, that in Islam.
No, it may be the same concept, but it had completely different outcomes. India, I mean, but you mentioned India, in terms of the prevalent religion there was Hinduism, and Hinduism was somewhat unethical till the British stepped in and influenced them with Victorian values, outlawed practices like sati, which they would, like the women would unalive themselves or be forced to unalive till their husbands died. Yeah, I'm not saying that other systems didn't do the same or attempted to do the same. However, the Bible has delivered a more consistent sense of ethics. That's the argument. It's more consistently ethical. It means it has a better track record of working. If you're saying it's as morally comparable as Buddhism and Hinduism, that would have to be where we disagree.
Well, I wasn't saying that exactly. I was saying it's more the size and scale of a religion is, in my opinion, correlated to the level of conquest that that empire held, whatever religion this empire held. It's like to the level of conquest they accomplished, and we see like the ripples of that today and the effect of that. And I think it's just incidental. Like this is the outcome of these things.
Yeah. So you're of the opinion that if I don't know, Buddhism would have been much more prevalent around the world would be just as ethical and morally advanced.
Yeah, I'm not really arguing like the morality of one religion to the next necessarily.
Well, that's my whole stance, by the way. Like, I don't care about people believing in God. Someone could believe in God and be a crappy person. I care about how people behave, and it seems like that's how, at least the Jewish God, that's how he functions. Anyone could say, I believe in this or make a creed on that, but individual moral training, that's the reason God gave us, his people, commandments to live by.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can have some command. So first of all, the commandments, was that Old Testament then in Torah?
Yeah.
Okay, so again, like you can have this list of things to live by, and other religions had it too. But then you see all the stories that of the things God did, and it's like also a little bit, I don't know, abrasive. Like it's not necessarily.
There's around three things. There's probably around three things in the Torah that it's hard for me to articulate from an ethical perspective, but the bulk of it makes that like ethical sense. I know people are used to just throwing those three things. Okay, God in some way told the Israelites to unalive certain people. Okay, but that we don't see Jewish people quoting the Bible in order to harm people, or at least innocent people. It's not common. The world has ended up where it is now ethically, which I think it's quite advanced because of the morality that appears in the Bible, not because of the verses that we can't really agree upon, right, on whether we should keep or not. All right, which, I mean, I'm saying that in life, the choice is typically not between what's perfect and what's horrific, but between what's good and what's better. And I think it's better to have a society that takes its values from the Bible than have a society that tries to reinvent the wheel ethically yearly.
I mean, I get what you're saying. And I mean, kind of when you were saying, what would be the moral implications of Buddhism spreading to the same extent or something? I mean, I feel like, yeah, it would be the same or better. I don't think that just because people subscribe to this 10 commandments that they're going to be a good person, because the other problem with this is that they can easily subscribe to these 10 commandments and then break them, right? And then just repent, right? They're under this like impression of repentance just wipes away everything you've done and it's no problem. So it's like, if anything, it's not like leading people down a good path.
Yeah, so I disagree with the whole notion that repentance takes everything away. Right, you're still responsible for the people you've harmed. But yeah, I think it's a good idea to let people know that even though you fell off that horse, you could get on that horse again. But yeah, absolutely, there's beautiful atheists and crappy religious people, but for the most part, I think people will end up doing better things in life if they have a code to aspire to than if they don't. So that's the argument for the Bible instead of people just following their heart for the most part.
And I'm not going to fully disagree with you on that, because I, to some extent see that, right? And I understand, and I almost agree, right? Where it's like, okay, if we have this kind of understanding, this baseline of morality, people would be better off. But again, the way I see it is that like this was understood and established early on, more as like a measure of control than like a prophecy or like a true ideology that people would believe in. You know what I mean? Like, it just doesn't make sense.
A measure of control. I mean, I guess that could be partially true in terms of God wanting to make sure that we progress in a uniform manner. So he gave us a law as a nation. And if you mean it being the opiate of the masses, like maybe under Christianity, right? Just because the Bible wasn't meant to spread all over the world. It seems that the Torah was meant for the nation of Israel. Now, Israel is ultimately a philosophy. Anyone could convert to Judaism. But if you didn't want to live by it, you could have just lived outside of the borders of Israel and lived however you wanted to live.
You're telling me there was nobody was spreading the ideology of Judaism around like the Middle East and Europe, like
there wasn't an obligation to do so. It's for sure a good thing if people want to join it, but the consequences for breaking the law only exist in the land of Israel. While Islam, for example, believes in a global caliphate that you basically can't run, right? We don't expand past biblical Israel. Now, we could, I mean, if the world wanted to and adopt Judaism, we could expand Israel to encompass the whole world. But that was never the case in the Bible. It seems that throughout Jewish history, the vast majority of Jewish people lived outside of the land because it was so difficult to live, by these high standards that appear in the Bible. But in terms of influence, I would rather a society that tries to live up biblical values than to see a repeat of what we saw in the Soviet Union in all these atheistical pursuits in the last 150 years that left a trail of blood and carnage by trying to reinvent the wheel ethically.
I mean, I understand, bro, and I totally get it. But like, again, my main problem is that, like, I could take inspiration from these ideals to an extent, right? But I just find it bizarre subscribing to this entire ideology based on this book, simply because, right? So first of all, you're saying, it's more about the commandments, it's more about the ideology and like what you're supposed to do and everything, more of the idea, and not necessarily, the things in the book. Are you saying are you saying the more important part is, like, do you believe those to be true, these stories and these things that happen?
So I believe them to be true in faith, but they're not obligatory to believe. Right? In terms of believing that a flood happened and all this stuff, that could be completely disproven, and it doesn't make or break our religion. Our religion stands on the individual moral training that it gives to the average man. That's what it stands on. If following the Bible ultimately makes you a worse individual, that's how you know it's not from God, not whether a story may have been plagiarized or appeared in some other text. Right? The reason I say this is because people leave religion for stupid reasons, right? And then end up living an immoral or less satisfying life trying to decipher everything on their own.
But that's not indicative of a valid religion, because I could be a better person by subscribing to the ideology of Buddhism as well.
So that's arguable. I think that following the Bible will make you better, but I mean, you could take that position. I don't think Buddhism has been very influential on, at least in fighting evil on this planet, I guess with the exception of the Tamil Tigers. I mean, there aren't too many Buddhists that proactively fight evil. It seems like the average Buddhist.
It's not about Buddhism itself. I mean, I could, listen to a random person and become a better person from what they taught me.
nowadays it's very easy to make such a statement when you live in a society entrenched in biblical values. We're standing ethically on the shoulders of giants. The idea that we would have come to this conclusion ethically without the Bible, that itself is a leap of faith.
Mm, okay, I see what you're saying, but I disagree to an extent. I think there's going to be a lot more of, like, I believe morality to be subjective, yet I think there is a baseline foundation that runs through all humans due to just simply biological factors, such as, wanting to keep our species alive and things like this. And a lot of things will stem from it, and you'll get some of these concepts. And then the technicals and the specifics of these rules, if you want to call them that, were more so to, like, for control, in my opinion. But again, I don't think that simply having this ideology, whether it's good or not, is proof of like a valid religion or this God even existing. That's my problem with it.
There's no proof that God exists. Just like there's no proof that he doesn't exist. All we have is evidence. There's a distinction between proof and evidence. Proof is like, yeah, it's factual. I can prove it. There's no doubt. Evidence means, like, you know what? I have some great arguments. You have some great arguments. It's ultimately a washout. The only thing we could prove is the effect of a good God and his and his laws in people's lives and in society. That's what we could prove in making people better. The studies show that religious people volunteer more time, they give more charity, they live richer, fuller lives than the nihilists or people who try to, reinvent the wheel ethically daily. That's what I think we could prove. But yeah, I agree. I identify as an optimistic agnostic, and I think that every religious person, if he's honest, would say the same, meaning that we can't prove that God exists. However, we really hope that he does exist because we've seen people's lives changed by the word of God. And that's probably the most...
Well, I mean, I consider myself agnostic too. I think I'm more wary to subscribe to these ideologies simply because, like this is what I'm saying is, if there's a code of conduct that's nice and valuable, it's great, whatever, people are going to be better off because of it, yet it comes along with this entire book of mythology that's, like, just not accurate.
Why does it bother you? I mean, just exclude the mythology.
Yeah, but that's the thing, though, is that you're still subscribing to this religion. Like, I could read Odysseus and gain some knowledge and become a better person and learn about him, and he had some good morals, yet everything, it's a completely fictional story, right?
No,
so it's like, I'm not going to make this my religion. I'm just going to gain the knowledge from it and move along.
So not that you should dislike the stories, but I think we could come to a conclusion that religion should stand on ethics alone. Stand on it alone, not revelation. And this was the opinion of the founding fathers. The whole deist approach to religion, the Jefferson Bible, he basically extracted all the miracles because he felt that the Bible was truly good. It wouldn't need revelation to prove it to you. I mean, it should, stand on its own, and it's true, right? Acting out the values that appear in this book improves the lives of all men. That's it, for the most part. And I think the atheists get stuck because they have this utopian mindset that if it's not perfect, we don't want it, right? But what do they have as an alternative? And it's every attempt from the French Revolution to Marx only ended up being a net loss to humanity, not a net gain. And I get it. There's a lot of problems with religion. But I know many atheistical Jewish people who put their kids in religious schools because they want to help them out at an early age. And then when the kid is older, they could decide for themselves, right? But by the simple fact, I'm not sure if this is you, but if you can't even pay tribute or acknowledge the good that the Bible has brought to the world, and that you think that we could have come up with this, just by accident, I think makes you a little bit of a social ingrate.
Yeah, but again, like, it's not about what good it's done. Like, this is what I'm saying is, if the only thing you're clinging on to is the values of this religion, then your religion is just as valid as any of the other ones, right? That do the same thing. Like, this whole idea doesn't make sense to me of, like, this is like the one thing you're standing on, yet everything else is, not relevant. It's just this, but every other religion has this as well.
Oh, no, I disagree. And now Islam and Christianity, because they're based off of my religion, for sure, they've recycled our set of values. But to compare it to, I don't know, like Hinduism or like any other socially, globally irrelevant religion and saying that they're all morally comparable, that's where we're going to have to differ.
They're not morally comparable, but they still have a set of ideals. Like
oh yeah, but which one is better? I'm not saying that.
I mean, okay, which one is better? I mean,
ethically better, yeah.
Ethically better, like
ethically influential, regardless.
Thing to measure.
Trust me, I am not married to Judaism. I would convert to Hinduism tomorrow, if that's even possible, if it made me a better person and had a better vision for humanity. I just feel that Judaism covers more bases ethically. That's it. It's better. It's not the best, right? That's not. I may believe it's the best by faith, but I'm not trying to convince an unbeliever that it's the best. Regarding unbelievers in Judaism, I just want them to acknowledge that we wouldn't be where we are ethically if it wasn't for the Bible. That's it.
Yeah, but if you're saying these Abrahamic religions built off each other, like Islam and Christianity was kind of built off Judaism. Well, then what's the differentiating factor between like Judaism and Christianity in terms of like morals?
Oh, nothing. But the only thing Christianity and Islam brought to the mix was narrative and metaphysics. That's it. Just more characters, more stories, more miracles. That's all it brought, but it recycled or it took its values from the Torah. All right? I mean, it didn't really, create any new ethical laws.
Okay, well then that would imply that you do hold some value to what's the stories inside the books, because the one differentiating factor of why you're not subscribing to Christianity is simply because you don't believe what was written in that book about Jesus. So there is going to be some.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We can. So if you're not only subscribing,
I was just gonna say. So
hold on, Andy. Hold on.
Okay, hold on. All right.
Yeah, go ahead, Archer.
If you are only like subscribing to it based on the values, then obviously you would have no problem with Christianity. Yet obviously you do, simply because you don't believe certain parts of the book, which means you do hold certain value to that part of it, right? Because
I think it's the opposite. Because I value the ethics in the Torah, it would obviously bother me if you have a later religion only introducing narrative. Meaning, if I initially stated that all we ultimately have to believe are the commandments in the Torah, why would I tolerate a religion that only introduces stories and creeds and metaphysics, right? For sure, I'd want to run the other way, because they're tossing more things my way that I must believe in order to be made right with God. So well, you don't think that quotes from Jesus and the parables from him is good advice, or right? This isn't going to help people. These aren't good values. What makes it good is that it's reiterating Torah principles. However, ideas that I have to accept someone as my Lord and Savior, and and I have to take a Eucharist, and I have to baptize myself in the name of Jesus. All these things in order to be saved makes it harder to claim to be religious.
I mean, I get that. Like I said, I don't subscribe to either. If anything, I'd be the most kind of inclined to subscribe to Judaism, but I still just simply because
that's it. You're going to become Jewish one day. Well, anyways, Dan, Andy, go ahead. I'm sorry, Archer.
No, you're good.
Andy, you ready?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I was just curious, as just from an atheist perspective. So, what is your, I guess, intriguing part?
Intriguing part.
What is your thing that you're saying that it
what makes me shine? I mean, I feel kind of cringy just repeating everything I just said to Archer. All right. So Archer, I'm going to drop you down a little bit just because.
You're good.
Yeah. I mean, I'll imagine that you weren't here, and I'm just going to repeat myself.
Sorry.
I think it's better for atheistical individuals to live like a good God does exist for the sake of their children, for the sake of ethical progress. Because if we follow the trend that this good book called the Torah has put the world towards, right, this ethical trend, it's kind of hard not to acknowledge that it's been an ethical net gain on the planet, and should get you to conclude that the Bible helps more than it hurts. That's it.
So in what ways does it help?
Individual moral training.
Okay, so you think atheists don't have moral training?
No, I didn't say that.
Okay, no. I'm just curious. Like, what is the advantage? Like,
it's better.
Your morals.
It's better.
Just better.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in life, the choice is typically not between what's horrific and what's utopian, but between what's good and what's better. If I would have to follow any ethical trend in life, it wouldn't come from the French Revolution, and it wouldn't come from Marx.
Well, there's philosophy. There's ethical humanism.
No, for sure. So nowadays, it's easy to claim to be an ethical
Isn't the Torah
humanist.
just a philosophy?
Absolutely. However, it gave birth and it fueled secular humanism.
I don't think it gave birth to it.
Well, it fueled it. I mean, the average secular humanist either had a parent that was religious.
There were divides between Jewish people for many centuries.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not sure how far you're going back. Right now, atheism is kind of a new phenomenon.
We can talk about nowadays. There's still different types of Jews.
No, well, there's only one Torah. I'm not promoting
There's
Jews.
only one Torah, but there's what is called, I forgot what they call them, Hasidic Jews, and then there's more like nuanced Jews.
No, I get it. I mean, forget about Jews. I'm talking about Torah observance.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about the religion. You're talking about the philosophies in that book.
Oh, well, it's that book that gave birth to the religion. I mean, if someone wants to misrepresent the religion.
So you're talking about religion.
I am talking. Now, this is semantics here. Now, if a bunch of people decide to try to keep the laws that appear in the Torah as a nation, for the most part, that could be a religion. Now, is everyone going to see eye to eye? No, they're not. Right? But I'm not promoting the people or what the people think the Bible happens to say. I'm just saying that I'm promoting the ethics that appear in the Bible, even though they could be misconstrued by different groups. Right? It's still, regardless. I mean, even if it's misconstrued, it's probably better than in some way believing they don't exist.
So where exactly, just for me to get a point of view, because I used to be a Christian. So where does the Torah end in the Bible? What book?
At the end of Deuteronomy.
Deuteronomy. Okay, so you have Genesis, Leviticus. I just remember, like, I don't know if it was Leviticus or Exodus. It talks about how, like, the fairness of society at that time was like, oh, if someone does something to you, like, you have to, like, kill one of their animals and then, like, cut off one of their arms.
All right. No, that's a little exaggerated, but yeah, there's probably around
the Mosaic law. It was similar.
No, I get it. There's around 3 laws, I would say, 3 instances in the Torah that I have trouble articulating. I have trouble articulating from an ethical perspective. Mm-hmm. 3, possibly 4. The average person would consider that not as a viable alternative or ethical outlet because of that. Instead of saying, can I find any other system in life with such a great success record? Right? No, they can't. This is why that whenever an atheist wants to call out the things that make no sense to them in the Torah, I'll give it to them. Why? Because now it's his turn to in some way sell me on atheistical pursuits that have failed every instance and that they've ever been tried and have only left a trail of blood and carnage. So it still puts Judaism or the Torah better than atheistical pursuits. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm just saying it's better.
There's quite a few philosophers that had good philosophies. Doesn't mean everyone followed them. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, I mean, regardless, whether they were good and no one heard about it, they were still irrelevant.
You guys have a group mentality. So group mentality is also another philosophical. I'm getting like, okay, yeah. So it was another person on it. So there's group mentality versus individuality. So just as so you say, oh, there's more of this in the Jewish Torah. There also is secular humanism where there's philosophical ideas where some people may take some and some may choose to contort or change. Now, the difference is that in your book, things are concrete. In philosophy, there's just philosophies that are there and they don't have, like you said, there's philosophies that just have no malignant or.
So this is why nobody wants to keep them, by the way.
So can I just interject real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to mention, because I heard you say that cutting off an arm and whatnot, that's a misunderstanding of what is written in the English, unfortunately, without interpretation from rabbis. Basically, what an eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth, that kind of thing, they want to actually maim the body because that's what the Jews believe in. You don't destroy the temple of God. you're basically making restitution according to what that body part would be worth in that day and age. And so you're making monetary restitution, not actually cutting off a part of the body.
So you're saying it's symbolic for
No.
monetary amount?
Right.
Let's not even
I've
get
never
into
heard
that. On this show, that we only deal with macro issues. I mean, that's something that a religious person could be convinced of. Like an atheist, I'll give it to them. I mean, if they don't understand it or the Torah is not clear enough on its own, like I don't offer interpretations.
No, even on a historians like view of like the Torah, I've never heard that perspective. I mean, if you have a source, I'd be interested.
Yeah, I mean, it's more of a rabbinic source, regardless, that there was always monetary compensation, and because
well, a rabbi can't really. I mean, unless they went to like
sure.
a college of a sort,
Hello,
then maybe. But if they're not a respected historian, I can't really go by that.
All right, hold on 1 second. Hold on. There's someone who wants to talk on TikTok, on YouTube. Hey, what's up?
Sure.
Yeah,
Hi, it's Ari calling.
Ari. Who?
Ari Biso.
All right, hold on 1 second. Hold on. There's someone who wants to talk. Ari who? I'm sorry.
Ari Biso.
Oh yeah. Here, I mean, go ahead and just lower the volume because I hear.
Yeah, there's some background.
Yeah, I hear an echo.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, I can hear you, but I think I also hear like the background noise.
He needs to turn off YouTube.
Yeah, there we go.
You still hear an echo?
Yeah. I hear you, but I think I also hear. Hold on, let me mute some people here.
Okay, hang on.
Yeah, like the background noise.
All right, hang on. Hello.
Yeah. Hey, what's up? All right, go for it.
Now you can hear me. Yeah, sorry about that, Usher. Yeah, I'm from Israel, and I've been watching your show. I just wanted to ask you a question, right? Basically, in Judaism, like you mentioned, there's no devil, right?
According to the Torah, there's no devil. According to Tanakh, there's no devil. According to the Torah.
I mean, the snake.
But the notion that the snake is Satan only appears in the New Testament. There's the
Sure.
So
right. So basically, my question is, because a lot of Christians, which I don't believe in Christianity at all, right? I believe in rabbinic Judaism.
Yeah.
And my question is, I noticed on your shows a lot of people asked you about Isaiah 66. It says the worm shall not die and the fire will not be quenched.
Yeah.
And you said that's not in the Torah. But in the 5 books of Moses, they have the word I think fire or burning, right? In Genesis.
like in what instance? I'm curious.
Well, I don't know. This is why I was just curious to know your opinion, right?
I'm not familiar of any instance that maybe Korach was the closest thing I could think of when the earth swallowed him up. Yeah, the Torah doesn't mention heaven or hell explicitly, or Satan or devils or demons. The Torah doesn't. I know Judaism does. I mean, Judaism, like if you go by what appears in the Talmud, there's like 7 levels of hell, Kafakela. There's tons of demons and all this stuff. It's just I view that as optional beliefs.
I see. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
But actually,
I believe in the oral law, by the way. Like Torah Shabbat Peh doesn't really include metaphysics. It includes Torah, instruction. So that's what we consider halakha. In terms of what you believe, that has to come straight from the Chumash for it to be obligatory. The rabbis can't command you to believe something. They can only command you to do something. In Deuteronomy chapter 17, it tells us that in all areas of dispute, we go to the base of Bechira, to the place that God chooses, and they will give us Torah. That was essentially the Lishkat Hagazit on the Temple Mount, and the Sanhedrin would give us the law. But the Rambam says, I mean, it's also in the Talmud that they vote things into existence. You can't vote metaphysical things into existence. Only practical things, what we call halakha le'maaseh, like what you do, not what you believe. So, I mean, anyone who reads the Talmud straight through hears the weirdest things of weird ideas that the rabbis had. Those are all optional to believe. And they're all on the level of what's called agarata, or midrash, folklore and legend. The problem is the average Jewish person today cannot make a distinction between halachot, midrashim, minhagim.
So
like,
are you more theocratic than you are scriptural?
Theocratic? No, it would be the opposite. I mean, I believe in God because of the Torah.
Well, you dismiss parts of the Torah. You say, "Oh, well, that part we're not talking about that."
No, I mean, what part was that?
When I mentioned the limb for limb.
No, I didn't want to go into specifics with someone who doesn't believe in the Torah. When I'm talking to someone who's an atheist, we could only use reason and logic, right? I mean, it's like someone here, like Muslims do this all the time.
That's part of your reason and logic because it's part of your thinking.
For sure. Yeah, but you're not convinced. Like, why would I use it as an authority? But the only thing I brought as an authority.
I'm questioning your authority. That's why.
Oh no, I don't have any authority.
Not your authority. I'm saying I'm questioning your logic because it's part of your logic. Those scriptures.
No. What works and what I'm trying to peddle here, for atheistical people, is the idea that living a Torah existence makes you more ethical. That's it. I'm not trying to say to believe that God gave us a Torah Mount Sinai, or Muslims talk like that to people, and that's the definition of a fanatic. A fanatic is someone who judges other people outside of his religion by the rituals of his religion, like not the ethics.
Okay, I can agree with that.
So yeah, I mean.
So you only take certain parts of your scripture that is more ethical to you.
No. When I'm dialoguing with atheists, if I was dialoguing with a religious person, like a religious Orthodox person, I would quote the stories in the Talmud and the story, like stories in the Torah to try to make a point. But I can't make a point with an unbeliever by quoting what you would consider legend.
I'm familiar.
No, I know, but you're not convinced of them. So what's the point of using them as a point of authority? See, in that case,
well, if I were to. Let's say I were to join Judaism.
Yeah, so after you join, then I'll use it. Like, what you're trying to do is get me to build a straw man argument for you then to destroy, which is quite interesting. I mean, most people will build their own straw man, but you want me to build a straw man so then you can confront it. But yeah, if I can't convince you logically, right? People first have to be convinced of God or the Torah logically, right? This is what.
Where's the logic? That's my point. You haven't brought up the logic.
I just brought down the logic, the individual moral training. There's a net gain ethically that the world could enjoy without even believing in God. That's the argument. This is why.
Jewish people don't believe in God.
Oh boy. Okay, hold on one second. Yeah, go ahead.
Rav Asher, I agree on most of what you say, of course, and I just want to bring something up to refine what you're saying. Of course, as you believe Torah is for the world, Torah meaning instruction, the instruction given by God makes people better. If God is a righteous God and he's speaking to humanity, he's calling them to lift them up and be righteous. Kind of like a very simple summary. The only problem that I have with that is if you have laws without narrative, don't you lose the context of the who? So in other words, who are the forefathers, what they were about, who is Israel? You may have the what to do, or you may have the how to do it. But I think, aren't you missing the who and the why? And
I'm not trying to be a narrative, by the way. I'm just saying that in terms of source material, what we're required to believe is that God wants us to keep certain mitzvot. In terms of what gets us to that point, it's good to know the story of the patriarchs. I'm not throwing it away, but the idea that our religion stands on narrative, or narrative and Torah on its own, is not true. The religion only stands on Torah, meaning the commandments within the Torah. That's what Torah means. It doesn't mean.
But narrative. Doesn't it bring a context? So, for example, it brings it to life. The story brings the commandments to life. So, in other words, you can look at what not to do by seeing the characters in Torah and say, well, this person really did it wrong. And saying, oh, this person was righteous. All of that goes away if there's no story tied to it, no?
Okay. So it would go against what the Torah is telling us is from God. The Torah tells us that on Mount Sinai, the only thing Moses received were commandments. He didn't receive narrative. Hold on, someone's eating in the background.
But you don't really understand Mount Sinai unless you understand what preceded Mount Sinai.
No, I get it. However, in the Torah, there's a holiday called Hakel, that every 7 years, the leader of the community is supposed to read the Torah in front of the congregation.
Mhm.
However, this holiday existed before the Torah, colloquially Torah today, was completed. Meaning, what they considered Torah is only what we consider today the commandments within the Torah. They had no narrative. The narrative was there to give us a chronological understanding of Jewish history. That's it.
But that's they were
No,
living it.
I'm not
The stories are passed down verbally,
I get
and
it.
they were living the story.
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm making a distinction to what we actually consider
So
divinely
question,
inspired.
that's intersect.
Right. We have to make a distinction between what we consider divinely inspired and the narrative. There's people who have dropped Judaism because of the
Oh yeah,
narrative.
yeah, I understand that. Like
Yeah.
I definitely don't believe in the craziness of Midrashim and all that, the crazy stories and that. But at the same time, let's make it modern. You used an example the other day, which I really liked. You were talking about the United States and that how here in the United States we don't understand the historical context of how we became a country, and because of that, we're willing to put aside parts of our Constitution because we fail to understand how we became the United States of America. And it's the same thing with the Torah. Like if you don't understand how Israel became Israel, unfortunately some Jews like Reform, they're able to put aside the Torah because they believe it's all a myth. They believe, these are just stories and fables, and they put aside the commandments. But if you understand and you believe that the stories that happened before are true, obviously you have to have some type of faith. You can't prove it, but it's part of what you believe and act. I don't think they're separated,
Faith is belief in something you haven't seen. So no evidence, pretty much. Evidence baseless.
All right. So Masad, go ahead, Masad. What are you saying?
Right, but that's the thing. Like they're talking about how you need faith, but like, dude, like these stories actually happened. There's evidence from external sources. So
There's not evidence.
Oh, there's no evidence. Okay.
Well, there's some evidence for some things. I mean, we can't say there's no evidence for nothing.
There's archaeology. Yeah, there's archaeology.
I mean, for
There's
some
evidence
things,
for
not
some
for
of
everything.
the characters in the stories, yes, but there's not evidence for the actions. It's historical fiction, as we know.
Some
by
things. I mean, the
historians.
Bible's pretty big. I mean, let's make a distinction.
They're proving King David every day. There was archaeological evidence for King David.
David can exist doesn't mean that he met up with God. There's no recording.
Guys, obviously, anything metaphysical we can't prove. I mean, yeah. I mean, don't.
Question. Do you
Are you
believe
atheist?
Yeah.
Yes, that's the point.
So then, okay. What is your point though? Like, are you trying to say that there's no proof for any of this, or
No. I just wanted to see if you had any conveying.
Guys.
Not conveying.
Let's not make this into a Christian live.
That people would benefit from joining.
yes, the law brings order. It brings peace. Brings order. The most important thing. As opposed to atheism, which brings disorder and chaos.
We're not going to go in
You're saying that
circles.
it's an
We're not going to go in
assumption.
circles. Hold on one second.
No, it's a fact.
Here, look, I dropped him already. I already broke it down to him. There's no point of breaking down to him again. It seems like from this point, he's already being a troll. All right. In terms of what we shouldn't do is use the word proof. Okay. There's evidence for things. Evidence in terms of proof for anything metaphysical. This is why there's no proof for God. There's evidence for God. There's a distinction. I mean, as someone who's been involved in the legal system for a while, from a negative perspective, I know the difference between proof and evidence. Yeah, like once you break it down to them that living a Torah lifestyle is essentially a net gain, and you speak at least to them for 20 minutes and let them go. That's it. I mean,
I wanted to destroy his worldview, though. Come on, man, pick it back up.
But Rob, let me harp on this. Isn't there like even in case law you have like a whole story of like in this case this was the story, this is the precedent, this is what the decision was. There's always a story attached to a law and a decision.
I'm not saying the story's bad, but we can't say the story is divinely inspired as well. Because then we have too much to back up. You know what I mean?
Bring him up. This is about his worldview now.
I know, but we just spoke to him. That's the thing.
No. But I want to bring him back.
I know, but I don't want to make this. Okay. Before speaking to him, I spoke to another atheist, and I just said the exact same thing. So we're just we're boring the audience with the same,
But did you destroy his worldview?
Well, I mean, I think I did. If he's not convinced, it's up to him. You know. Anyways, look, but there's other people on the panel. Okay, all right. Go ahead. Hold on. Just let me mute a little bit. All right. Go ahead, Radiculous.
Hey, what's up, Rabbi? Remember me?
Yeah. You're the guy with a nice car.
From Phoenix, yeah. I got a question. So I was on this live. I was just listening. I wasn't part of it. They were talking about Isaiah 53, something about. I think you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, it's the most famous verse used by Christians.
That's what I was thinking. Because everywhere I go, that's all they talk about when they want to prove something.
Well, you know what? Because here, look.
It's embarrassing for me to go to my rabbi and ask him. I mean, face to face.
Oh, they're probably not going to know. I mean, they're probably not going to know like how to respond to Isaiah 53. Okay, I mean, the person or persons studying suffering in Isaiah are clearly tragic figures. Okay, whenever God sends prophets, messengers to the Jewish people, they're going to be made to suffer. Why? Because the job of a prophet is to bring Israel back to Torah observance, get them to do tshuva. Okay, and most people don't want people raining on their parade, so they're going to get mistreated, just like Jeremiah was mistreated. When the rabbis teach that Isaiah himself was unalived by the Jewish people. So when you hear the story of one of the messengers of God being mistreated, and you know nothing about the Jewish Bible, and all you know is about what your parents told you regarding Jesus from when you were little, the first thing you're going to see is Jesus. Well, he was mistreated. Yeah, but every prophet was mistreated. Not that he was a prophet, but the idea that he was trying to bring people back to Torah observance, I'm convinced, right? I don't believe in Jesus as God and the Messiah, but was he bad? I don't think he was a bad guy. This is why I believe Isaiah 53 is like Mamish talking about the messengers of God, the martyrs of God, people who were made to suffer by giving over the message of God that the people should repent. Now, if someone wants to believe that Jesus is one of these messengers, then fine. Okay, but it doesn't exclude all the other messengers, including Isaiah himself, which is who I think Isaiah 53 is really talking about. Yeah, that's it. I mean, that's probably the simplest understanding of Isaiah 53.
You're saying something about an arm, a serpent, and I mean, I don't know that.
Oh, I don't know. Just to mention a serpent, an arm. I'm not familiar with that.
I don't remember exactly. I didn't know I was going to ask these questions. I just saw you and I figured, well, maybe you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. There's another understanding to Isaiah 53, which I'm not a fan of. That's probably the more popular one, that it's talking about the Jewish people being mistreated by the nations of the world. I don't believe that. By the way, I mean, not all rabbis believe that. I think Rashi believes that. I think the Radak believes that. But there's commentators comment in by simple fact, we have more than one commentator in Judaism means that there's different ways of looking at persons. Whenever Israel suffers on a nationalistic level, according to the Torah, is because Israel did something wrong. Right? This is why we're in Galut now. We're in exile now. God willing, one day we should get our act together and go back to Israel properly. Right? So people disagree on this. Like, I don't believe it's only talking about Jesus if you believe that he's a messenger. I mean, it's talking about anyone mistreated under the auspices of Jews. Welcome, Fish Nati. Or okay, moderate. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, Rabbi. Ramadan Mabruk. How are you doing today?
Thank you. You know,
salami and bacon to you, sir.
All right, no, don't do that. I mean, let's not. We don't make fun of other people's religion.
Come on, Islam, bro. It's the religion of unaliving.
No, that's fine. It's. You're never gonna win them over. I mean, if you just go in with
send them Assad to your house.
Yeah, guys, let's not make this into every other, like Pali Israel.
Yes, sir. It's my fault. I apologize.
No, it's fine. You guys, the goal is to challenge bad ideas with good ideas, and you're never going to do that by yelling at people like Jews call Christians idolaters. Like, you're not going to win anyone over with that. All right, have a little bit more game, right? So you see a girl out in the street, like, you don't go up and propose marriage. I mean, tell her.
Rabbi, here's my question, right?
Yeah.
Do you condemn chocolate hummus?
Yes, I do. Chocolate has no place in hummus. Also garlic, like over garlicky hummus, out the window. Just like a little red pepper on top, like the sabra hummus I condone. That's it. That's my hummus. All this like artisan hummus, go out the window. Black bean hummus, out the window. All right, just traditional garbanzo beans.
What about pineapple on pizza?
Are you a monster?
That's my weakness. That's my weakness. A little bit of pineapple with jalapeno. Come on, man.
Have you ever heard of the guy named Ask the Doc?
Ask the Doc. No.
You should check him out on TikTok. He has a lot of debates with Muslims and Jews. Maybe you should go talk to him.
Oh, I know who this is. This is my friend Josh Built the Wall. Yeah, so I heard you talking about it on Miriam's live.
How are you?
Hi.
Are we best friends?
I heard you talking about this guy on Miriam's live, and I was interested. I was interested in having a dialogue. That's what I do. I talk to people.
I want you to have a dialogue with him. I want you to.
I would.
Have a conversation with him.
I would.
So follow me. Follow me here. I'll follow you. You follow me. And he's gonna go live. He goes live usually at nighttime. So when he goes live, I'll share it with you.
I'm pretty sure that he knows.
The rabbi.
I'm sure he knows of my existence. So let's see if he's willing to download.
He doesn't. Once this guy named, I think his name was Schmeckel or something like that.
Oh, Schmendrick.
He went up there. He spoke about you to the rabbi. So he spoke about you to Ask the Doc. And he was talking about Rav Asher. I'm not sure why, but he kept talking about you.
Yeah, no, he's a friend of mine. All right, yeah, no, I'm down to dialogue. The goal is to change people.
You know what Schmeckel means?
It's not fair. Ask the Doc is not a fair live. Don't go there.
I mean, I'll give it a taste.
Religion, I'll make it fair.
I mean, I'll give it a
tell me what. What do you want?
Do you have the internet open ridiculous or a way to look up something in the New Testament that will really help your case?
I don't read the New Testament. It's blasphemy.
Sir. I'm trying to help you. I promise.
Yeah, wait, hold on. I mean, respond to his inquiries. Don't just tell him to go online and look up. I mean, if he has any question, I'll let you try to convert. Ridiculous.
I'm not trying to convert, sir. Rabbi, I'm not trying to convert. I'm a Christian. I believe that you guys are going to heaven. We're going to heaven. I think we're all good. And I want to try to help you.
Oh, but that's in spite of what the New Testament
when Christians attack you. I'm here to help you whenever Christians attack you. That's why I came up.
I got the old one.
Yeah. No, he agrees. He agrees with you. He's saying that you don't need the New Testament.
I'm just trying to help.
I got the new one when I got the old one. When I got the original one.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm just trying to help. You said the Christians ask you a question, and I'm trying to give you some ammunition to use against them. That's all I'm trying to do.
Tell me.
No, don't pick a fight with it. Wait, hold on. You're saying, Fish, that you believe that Jewish people don't need to accept Jesus in order to be right with God?
Correct.
Interesting. That's like Pastor Hagee style of Christianity.
Our religion has been hijacked. It was hijacked in the Nicaea Creed by the Catholics. It was completely wrong. What they have done to my religion is completely wrong.
Yeah, but how about verses that specifically say that if you don't accept Jesus, you're in some way lost?
Those are only in John and as far as the Gospels go, that's only in John. John came way later. Mark was the original. Everything. Matthew and Luke are Matthew and Luke are Mark plus some extra stuff. Mm-hmm. Mark is all you need in the New Testament.
Are we just creating Gospels now?
I'm trying to help the gentleman underneath me. That's all.
But let's just find out. I'm curious, how he thinks. So Mark is Q, right? Everything came out of Mark.
No. Mark plus Q is what they say. Matthew and Luke, how Matthew and Luke and possibly John were made.
So the Book of Revelation, you don't accept either, then?
It's trash. It's absolute trash.
Interesting. Okay, that's a very interesting approach. I always wondered why you didn't find more Christians who were one gospel only, but you're Mark only, which makes a lot more sense.
Paul, right? Revelations as well.
No.
Yeah, it's a different John. It's like John of Patmos. Right. It's not really.
No, wait.
What?
It shouldn't be in the Bible. It's ridiculous. It's just rantings of a madman.
Yeah, I agree. So how do you view do you view Jesus as God?
No, that was wrong. I believe Jesus was the Messiah, but he never claimed to be God. Okay. Only in John did he ever proclaim to be God, and he should never have been.
Okay. All right. So how do you identify? What's your pronoun?
I'm a Christian because I believe what Jesus said about how to treat people.
All right. I commend that. I respect traditional Christians also. But so as you can see, he wasn't trying to convert anybody.
No.
I'm for sure not. So All right.
So the verse is Matthew is Mark 10:17 through 21. A man approaches Jesus and asks, "How do I get eternal life?" And Jesus says, "You follow the 10 commandments, you get eternal life."
I mean, this is a 10 commandments, right?
You follow the commandments. I said 10 commandments. Maybe I shouldn't have. But you follow the commandments, you get eternal life.
And he said,
and this
"Teacher."
is the rich man who followed.
I mean, since my youth, I kept all these.
Follows that up.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Jesus follows that up with, "You're rich. Sell everything you have, and you get treasures. You get something in the kingdom of heaven."
But if he sells everything, what does he do with the money? He's still rich.
You give it to the poor.
But then the poor become rich.
Well, not if you distribute it, I mean, equally. I mean, how rich was this guy?
Whatever you got and you invest in, you become rich.
The cycle of giving.
Guys. I mean, it's like, I mean, he's quoting what the Bible says. All right, his Bible.
Okay, fish. I want to know, who do you pray to then? If Jesus is not your God.
I created God the Father, the Creator. How did Jesus pray? He said, "Our Father." He told everybody, "This is how you pray: Our Father who art in heaven."
What traditions do you follow? Do you keep the Sabbath? I mean, he said to keep the Sabbath.
I don't work on Sunday, no.
Saturday.
No, I don't work on Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, wait, hold on. So the notion of Sunday being the Lord's Day appears by Paul, like not in the Gospels.
Book of Acts.
Paul didn't say it either.
Yeah, the Book of Acts is written by well, I guess some would say Luke, but it's yeah, like.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. First off, Yeshua definitely claims to be God in other places than John. We see, when he says, "I'm like the Son of Man riding on the cloud," the Pharisees ripped their clothes and accused him of blasphemy. So they knew what he was saying for sure.
What did he say after that?
What do you mean? That was the claim in the Ugaritic and other Canaanite religions in the area historically. The writer of the clouds was Baal. So they know that the term "rider of the clouds," that was a term, like a idiom used to represent saying I'm God. And that's why the Pharisee tore his clothes and screamed blasphemy. Now, the other thing I wanted to say, in Isaiah 53 a couple minutes ago, I don't know if that guy is still on the phone. You mentioned that represents the prophets, plural. When they only use
Isaiah in particular, right? But it could also include all the other messengers or servants of God. Okay,
it's true. I got you. My question with that would be, was Isaiah killed to make people righteous, like it continues to say towards the end of that chapter? It said that person was.
Oh, I get it. All prophets are either mistreated or unalived in order to try to make people righteous.
No, but God says in that verse, Yahweh says that the death of that prophet will make the people righteous. Yeah, so I don't know.
I mean, it's poetry. In other words, you're basically in the military, they would say, like, what makes the grass grow? The grass of freedom grows, the blood of the enemies. It's just people trying to do the right thing, being sent to wicked Israel, right? Eventually, they make an ethical impact, right? So that's what it means. It's not that the person became an atonement for these people or a human atonement, because that would contradict the Torah. Right? So, yeah.
Well, it was. Oh, I guess I'm just looking at when it says God will account that death for the people's righteous, meaning like
that's not in the Torah.
Checks and balances.
Look, let me make a historical point for all the Christians. Can I? All right, cool. So historically speaking, guys, Romans were taxing the Jews. They were taxing them a lot of money because the Jews were very wealthy during that time. The Jews didn't want to pay that money, so the Romans created Catholicism to convert Jews away from their monotheism, because they wouldn't deal with their pagan money or their pagan gods. So that's why the Jews had a lot of rebellions, a lot of wars. So the
Romans historically allowed the people that they conquered to keep their religion.
Romans invented Jesus to convert to make him more friendly to the Jews, and to try to convert them, which failed. And it became a leading religion. But yeah, so that happened. So that's why Jesus could not.
All right, hold on.
That's why none of the New Testament is real. Just saying.
All right. Yeah,
That's ridiculous.
Don't. That's like a drive-by insult. All right. I mean, that could be your theory.
No,
But
it's not a theory. It's
yeah, but then.
Yeah. So can I speak? Hello. Hey, Asher.
All right. Hey, wait. Hey, Bree.
What?
Now, whatever happened with Homeboy?
Nothing.
He got no game, man. Anyways, I set them up. You know, like in Judaism, we have this notion that if you set up like 2 shidduchim, like you get a place in Olam Haba. Like if you set up 2 matches, to like, you know, that people get married, like you get a place in heaven. And I guess it didn't work. All right, okay, my bad. I'm sorry. Yeah, but did he try at least?
I mean, yeah, I never added him.
Oh.
Because my page is private, so I never.
So it was you then.
Yeah. Okay.
Like you don't even know. This guy could have been driving a Bugatti. I mean,
okay.
You know, that could have been your blessing. You're like that story of the person who's like drowning, and then the boat comes up, and they're like, "No, God will save me."
Who said I was drowning?
Oh my bad. No more questions.
Asher, if you could hook me up with what's that guy? Rudy, what's his name?
Why do girls love this guy? Rudy Rochman. Is it Rudy Rochman?
Yes.
Come
if you
on.
Go with the Rudy, then now we're talking. You know what I'm saying?
Like, what do women find in Rudy Rochman?
He's so handsome. Like, oh my God.
He looks sort of like a castrati to me. He just looks like a big little boy.
He's gorgeous. Come on.
Really Jewish?
Huh?
Is she Jewish? Are you Jewish?
No, she's not
No,
Jewish.
we just joke. No, he's not.
Yeah, but you'd have to convert for Rudy Rochman, by the way.
Huh?
You'd have to convert for Rudy Rochman. You'd have to convert.
Maybe I'll convert him.
Oh.
Maybe I'll be the one doing the converting.
All right, well, first, I mean, he has
Jewish
to agree
men
to
are
meet
known
you.
to fall for the goy women. You know, you got issues with that, so you never know. No, I'm just playing.
All right, fine. All right.
Rabbi.
Yeah.
Huh?
Wait. Hi.
Well, yeah, I wanted to say something.
Yeah,
okay, so according to Christianity, then what was he saying? Yeah, basically, you know, as far as Christian doctrine, established Christian doctrine, Jesus is God. He claimed to be God. And so, I mean, I don't know any reputable Christian that would say otherwise. So, yeah.
Yeah, but he's not disagreeing that the vast majority of Christians believe that. However, he doesn't accept those books as authoritative that make that
No,
claim.
that's fine. I was just saying as far as Christian doctrine is concerned.
Oh, but you don't have to
just
say
like,
that. I mean, everybody knows this. This is like common knowledge.
But I mean, usually somebody doesn't call themselves a Christian if they reject Jesus as the only begotten Son of God. That's all I'm trying to say.
Amen.
The problem is when you're speaking to Jews that you have to quote the Psalms where it says that you are gods, which means that you are judges.
Go for it.
Psalm 82, but at the end of that it says because God judged the other gods in the council that they would die like men. So I don't think he was talking to Israel that they were gods, because you keep reading, it says because they were wicked that they would die like men.
But the problem with that is, I'm just telling you that's the response that was given. Why do you want to stone me? Because I'm claiming this, when Yeshua quotes that verse saying, the scriptures call us all gods, and then they stop. They didn't stone him.
Let's talk Judaism because we're losing. Yeah, we're losing the audience.
All right, well, let me ask. This is the only reason I'm on, then I'm off. I talked to you yesterday or the day before, and you said you made me think about a topic from Torah that it doesn't mention, heaven or hell in a sense. And then it just had me thinking about, the blood crying out from the ground, and it made me think about Enoch being taken up. So how would you look at those two things as far as the afterlife, heaven or hell aspect?
Yeah. So I don't think the blood crying up from the ground, the blood of Abel, proves that there's a heaven or hell. If anything, I mean, that in some way solidifies the idea that you're stuck in the ground. But in terms of Enoch, there's a commentator called the Ibn Ezra, and he says that the story of Enoch, compared to other places in the Bible that uses the same terminology, in terms of like God just taking him, is another way of saying that he died. This notion that God took him up to heaven, and he existed up there, and he wrote the book of Enoch, is just something that the mystics ran with. But it's not.
Who went to heaven on a chariot, on chariots of fire?
No, that's Elijah.
Ezekiel. That's not Torah.
He ascended to heaven.
No. So the word Shemayim doesn't mean heaven in Hebrew. It just means the sky. In terms of heaven, like a place where people are hanging, like bouncing off on clouds and stuff like that, that doesn't appear in the Torah. In terms of someone being taken up on a chariot, no one knows where he was going, if that even happened. It's not in the Torah, first of all. Okay, it's not a place like reward and punishment. When people think like Olam Haba and Gehinom, this is what we're talking about, like heaven and hell. All right, like not like, is there a metaphysical place? I mean, there's a story of Samuel, right, with the witch of Endor, like he's in some way sleeping with his fathers, which sounds kind of perverted. And then he pulls him up and he talks to him and this and that. Right, it shows something more, but it's not concrete. It's just like we don't know what we're reading. How it is more concrete in the New Testament. It's more concrete in the Quran. It's more concrete in the Talmud. Right, but it's just not concrete in the Jewish Bible in terms of us to build a doctrine around it.
And wasn't Moses gathered to his fathers?
Abraham, yeah, it says that Abraham died and he was gathered into his fathers, which we don't know what that means. It's just it's not enough. It's not enough. So the idea of being gathered into your fathers, I heard, it's the notion that they would put you on a slab to all your bones, you know, like the meat would rot off your bones, and they took those bones and they put them, what's it called in
ossuary?
Yeah, ossuary, with the bones of all your other fathers. That's, you know, like
what's the source for
that? That's historical. I mean,
Israel, didn't Hashem say that he buried Moses?
Yeah, no, it's Abraham. It's not Moses. You know, Moses doesn't say that he was gathered into his fathers, and I'm pretty sure. I mean,
no, Abraham before Moses before Israel went into Canaan, when he took Moses on top of the mountain, he said he would be gathered to his fathers.
Yeah, but what's the argument?
I've been curious since you said that there's no notion. I guess no
concrete notion of heaven and hell like in the Jewish Bible? Concrete, right? There are little hints for sure. But God tells us that He's going to write us in a book. I mean, I'd like to think that that's a book that's going to get me into the party in heaven, right? But it's just not clear. At least not clear enough to build a doctrine around. Right. And yes, like in Judaism, we have doctrines of, you know, I don't know, it's called schar ve'onish, like reward and punishment. I don't know why there's a whole doctrine on it. I mean, the Torah is quite silent on it, with the exception of, unless you view reward as redemption and punishment as exile. That's for sure reward and punishment on earth. But in heaven, it seems like the Torah wants us to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, not because we're coerced into doing this because we want to get to heaven, or scared, you know, not to do this because we don't want to go to hell. You know, that's the bulk of religion today is nothing but coercion. This is why when Christians come up to you, unfortunately, I'm not saying all, but the vast majority, they say, if you die today, do you know where you're going to go? Right? They're not saying, like, are you living your best life possible? Are you mistreating people around you? Like, are you loving your kids, loving your wife? They're not preoccupied with ethics. It seems like God is preoccupied with ethics. We're preoccupied with heaven and hell.
Well, what's the ultimate benefit of the supreme ethic? So if we follow all the laws to a T, and are you saying that we do that so we can live longer on Earth, or what's the
It's peace.
It's its own reward.
Leaving the world a little better than you found it for your kids. If that's not benefit enough, it shows how short-sighted we've become because we become religious.
Okay.
Can you mute me?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, mute you. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Rav, Isaiah 53, excuse me, Maimonides, Nachmanides, and the Talmud both refer to Isaiah 53 as in reference to the Messiah as a servant as the Messiah.
Yeah, no, there's many different opinions on even what the Messiah looks like, you know, if there's even a Messiah. In the Talmud, it also says the Messiah is not coming. It says.
Well, my point is that the guy made it seem like that's a Christian thing. It's right there in the Talmud and Maimonides and Nachmanides.
Oh no, we believe Yehoshua is the Mashiach. So when
I'm saying for the earlier guy, the Jewish guy was making fun of the Isaiah 53 in reference to Messiah, but that's clearly in the Talmud and Maimonides and Nachmanides, which were
Maimonides doesn't say
Jews.
He's talking about Messiah. First of all, you may be thinking of Nachmanides.
No, Maimonides does a reference too.
The what reference?
I gotta look it up, but I know both of them do.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure Maimonides does it. But yeah, like I said, in the Talmud, there's an opinion that he's not coming at all, which is the opinion of Hillel. Like not the Hillel that we know about. This is like an Amar called Hillel. There's a notion that the Messianic age is just like today, nothing's going to change. And then there's other notions that he's going to be a Superman who never dies and flies in the clouds. Regarding the Messiah, nobody knows anything. Jews don't know, Christians don't know. We don't know because it's not a Torah concept. It seems like it's a later developed idea.
Epistle to the Yemenites, Rambam mentions Isaiah 53 is the Messiah.
You have to show me. I mean, I know you're talking about the book. It's called the Gerta Teman. But in terms of the Messiah, yeah, I mean, you'd have to show me.
Are you on YouTube as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I thought I recognized that voice.
So someone said that you became a Freemason. At least that's what it sounds like. What does that mean? They took. I'll tell you. Hey, look, I am a Freemason, by the way. I mean, I haven't been to a lodge. I haven't been to a lodge in probably 8 months. Well, I'm a 32nd.
I didn't think they accepted Jews.
Huh? What are you talking about?
They accept everyone.
Yeah, they accept everyone. You know, but I'll tell you, the average Freemason knows nothing about the Bible. Although all the rituals are based off of King Solomon's court, they don't know anything. I'm telling you. Now, it could be because, you know, I mean, they're surrounded there. They have Asher Meza in his presence.
Solomon, the one that went off into worship and idols, that doesn't sound very good.
Well, I mean, it's the same King Solomon that you read every time you read the book of Proverbs and Ecclesiastes. You know, so it's not, I mean, he ain't all that.
Yeah, but he definitely went off into idol worship.
I know. Yeah, but it doesn't mean that King Solomon created masonry. That's mythology. But I think masonry is a good thing, by the way. Trust me, I became a Mason because I wanted to control the world. Okay, and as a religious person, I mean, I want to be, you know, with the Andrew Tates and the Tupacs and the Biggies. Right?
He's going to jail for X trafficking. You
Yeah,
don't want
whatever.
to be with him.
Okay.
He's getting thrown.
All right.
into jail.
You know, free Andrew Tate.
No, he's not.
Anyways,
yes, he is.
Masons don't control anything. Okay, I mean, I don't want. I hurt. You know, I hate like hurting my brother's game. You know, because I know that Masons do this to pick up chicks. They're like, oh, we have these secrets and we're Illuminati, and the girls go wild, right? Bullcrap.
They do?
They don't. Of course, girls. Mason. I mean, anyone who plays Assassin's Creed, you know, like wants a piece of that. What? What?
You have jokes tonight, Asher.
It's true. What are you talking about? Like, don't you want a guy, you know, who kind of like runs the show secretly, right? So, ooh, my man's up in the Mason meeting. It sounds a lot better than saying that my man's locked up, right? My man runs things. He runs the world, right? Your Bohemian Grove.
No, not for righteous women.
Okay. Well, anyways, you know what? Also, Masons don't worship the devil. Newsflash. Trust me.
I would disagree with that, but that's okay.
The lodge, and I've been to many lodges, are a bunch of old people, you know, like not even like just I don't even know what they're doing there. It's just like they have nowhere to go. It's like people on TikTok who are on here all the time, and you see a glimpse of their profile picture, and you're like, I get why you're in TikTok 24 hours a day. It's the same reason why they end up in lodge, because they got no lives. Okay, in the vast majority of cases, I get it. You know, Shaquille O'Neal is a Mason. Okay, and you know, I mean, he's Shaquille O'Neal. You know, but he's pretty tall.
Rabbi, you remember the verse from earlier that I told you, so you can use it later?
What? Like what verse?
Mark 10:17 is where you start.
Right.
17 to like 21.
All right, Courtney, you write that down.
What is it?
Nah. All right. Anyways, yeah, guys.
Hey, Courtney's there and she's not saying anything.
Yes, that was me that asked you if he was on YouTube because I recognized your voice.
Oh wait, is this Joseph? You know from?
Yeah, of course.
Don't say
your main man.
Oh, right. Yeah, que Boricua.
Ya tú sabes.
Ya tú sabes. Ah, look at that small world. I mean, Joseph used to come on my YouTube lives years ago. All right. Well, we're in good company here. Anyways, guys, I encourage people, by the way, men who need some structure in their lives, I encourage them to consider becoming a Mason. And I have a whole discussion of this on my channel. Remember iPhone 4, I had a debate on how Masons are corrupt and devil worshippers and all that stuff. And I'm like, no. I mean, it's like the Kiwanis Club. It's like the Rotary Club. But they're guys who focus on philanthropy and they get together and they try to do good things. And for guys who have like daddy issues / mommy issues, it's a great thing. Because you get a bunch of old guys sort of telling you to snap out of it. And that's what the world needs.
So are you going to say that the Grove, is not demonic?
Oh, that has nothing to do with Masonry. Your Bohemian Grove. I just heard Joe Rogan interview Kid Rock. And then he was invited there. It's a joke. It's not real Masonry.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying the Groves is also in scripture though.
Wait, what are you talking about? The Grove?
The Groves? They have
Bohemian Grove you're talking about.
Yeah, that's the Ashrim. Yeah, Ashrim.
Oh, do they worship trees and stuff?
Yeah, Ashrim.
Okay, all right. No, they have a big owl. That has nothing to do with Masonry. Those guys aren't Masons. They're like Bill Gates goes there and all this stuff. Trust me, it's very limited. I'm a Scottish Rite here, which means that Jews don't. There's two rites you could join in Masonry. There's York Rite and Scottish Rite. So Jews and Muslims don't join York Rite because it has to do with Christianity. So those who are not Christians become Scottish Rite, which means that you become a Templar Knight, but through a different avenue. But you get to reach the 32nd degree, which is what I am. The 33rd degree is an honorary title. There's nothing going on there, guys. If you guys want to check it out, you can check it out, but you'll be disappointed.
Yeah, I don't believe you.
Why would I lie?
So what would you do? What would you do if you're in the middle of a ceremony and something weird was going on?
You mean worshiping the devil?
Yeah, but what would you do? I mean, you're already part of it. What would you do?
I would pop up my cell phone and record it, because this has never been seen. Mason.
But they checked it at the door.
Check what at the door? The cameras? That's not true. That's not true.
No, they don't.
Yeah, no, there's people who snuck in cameras.
I have received
maybe you're not at the level yet.
I'm a 32nd degree. It's pretty high up. Here, look. They're asking me what hall do I go to. It's Lodge 299, Royal Fulkerson Lodge, Hollywood, Florida. The vast majority of people in my lodge are Jewish. All right, just because I live in a Jewish neighborhood. It's not. Trust me, it's boring. And there's something called the Order of the Eastern Star, which people think that it's because it's the pentagram. That's the one the women could join. Because women, I guess, who want to row with Masons and date Masons will become Order of the. Also, the kids of the Masons will join the Order of the Eastern Star. Yeah, I mean, you ain't missing anything, guys. You're not missing anything.
I know. So yeah, I'm just gonna be.
But of course, that's what they told me to say. Anyways, I see my friend Josh O'Connor in the house there. Welcome, Josh.
Just make sure you get Rudy's number for me, Asher. That's your homework assignment.
Rudy Rochman. You guys are crazy for Rudy Rochman. All right. I mean, he is tall, by the way. I mean, I interviewed him. If you go on my channel, yeah. I mean, for 5 minutes. I mean, I spoke to him because we used to talk a long time ago on Facebook when I had a Facebook account. And then I gave him some information on Black Hebrew Israelites or something. And then I saw him in Miami in this Israel parade thing. I'm like, hey, Rudy Rochman. He's like, Asher Meza. I'm like, let me record you for 5 minutes. And it's on my channel. Yeah. I mean, I think he's famous because everyone else thinks he's famous. I don't know what his huge contribution is. I mean, he's a nice guy. O.J. Simpson. I want to take a picture with O.J. Simpson.
He's not an ugly Jewish guy. That helps.
All right. All right, fine. I'll let him know. He has a fan base. Yeah, what's up with I mean the shmata, like the rag. It's he's trying to. I haven't seen anyone else run with that. Like the kafia, whatever, or the jufia.
Yeah, samad.
Yeah, right. That's it. Yeah. All right. Anyways, guys, on that note, let's end on a high note. But before I get banned and we all get disappointed. All right. Thank you for stopping by. I'll try to standardize these shows so people could kind of join and plan their day accordingly. All right, guys, Biga benched.